They all arrived at the gate of the cottage together because the shepherd took a roundabout way, so that by the time they got there and little Doldrums was lowered to the ground, he was as cheerful as a cricket. As soon as they got inside the gate, along came the yellow cat, eager to meet her special friend, arching her back and rubbing against the shepherd's legs and purring loudly, asking as plainly as possible where he had been all this time. Little Doldrums immediately put out both hands to seize her by the tail, as he did to any unwary animal that chanced to fall into his clutches. Not that end, Doldrums, said the shepherd cheerily. Ah! Ugh, that made me laugh. Never the tail end. That's all. That always results in nasty scratches. Ugh. Maybe a creature, maybe a cat getting grabbed by the tail end would probably offend the cat to tell the truth about it. Ugh. But now try the head end ever so gently under the chin and behind the ears and on the top of the head, and see how loudly you can make her purr. Gently does it always. Ah, listen to that. She's purring like a baby lion. And there was the infant Doldrums sitting happily in the sunny garden while the bees hummed about the flowers and the ducklings waddled up the path towards him with his small face positively beaming, wholly absorbed in experimenting to see whether the yellow cat mechanism produced the loudest purrs if tickled under the chin or behind the ears or scratched ever so carefully on the very top of the head, and looking as Mrs. Dismal expressed it, as though he had never been a little self pity in all his life. Then the shepherd left the garden and went striding off in the direction of the home of poor self pity. The father, Mrs. Dismal and Gloomy, watched him until he was out of sight, and then they looked at one another and said, "He will soon be coming to call us to go with him to the high places. We must go home and get ready." As they spoke, the thorn shaped seeds in their hearts suddenly throbbed, and a warm, tender sweetness seemed to flood them from head to foot, and mother and daughter kissed each other with a love and gentleness which neither of them had known before, as though already the dreary self centered dismal forebodings and the haughty self willed gloomy were creatures of the past, and something quite new and very beautiful was appearing instead. As for the shepherd, he strode on down the village street and went on his way towards the lonely farmhouse in which lay self pity, tossing and turning on his sick bed in an agony of fear and crying out to someone to call the shepherd to come to help him. Well, amen, fellow believers in Jesus Christ. I am glad I got to come back and read this chapter of this good book called Mountain of Spices with you guys. May you guys be blessed, and may the joy of the Lord be our strength indeed for the rest until eternity comes. Amen.